Have you ever experienced moments where, despite great achievements and blessings, doubt and impatience took over your heart? Imagine witnessing the impossible, like seeing the sea open before you, and yet still faltering. This is exactly what the people of Israel went through after their liberation from Egypt. How could a people who witnessed such incredible miracles fall into deep rebellion so quickly? The story of the golden calf is a powerful warning for all of us, and what it reveals might surprise you. Stay until the end to understand how this applies to our lives today. It was a pivotal time for the Israelites. They had left behind years of slavery in Egypt, experiencing the power of God in supernatural ways, through deeds and wonders that defied any human explanation. The people crossed the Red Sea, walked through the desert, and were sustained by manna, the bread that descended from heaven daily, a continuous and miraculous provision that met their needs. During the day, a cloud guided them, and at night, a pillar of fire provided light and protection. Despite so much evidence of divine power, the human vulnerability of the Israelites would manifest itself in a moment of great weakness. After walking for some time, the people arrived at the foot of Mount Sinai. There, God decided to make a special covenant with them. Moses, the leader chosen by God, ascended the mountain to receive the tablets of the law directly from the Lord. Commandments that would establish the relationship between God and his people and between the people themselves. Mount Sinai was enveloped in dense clouds, thunder, and lightning, symbolizing the majestic presence of the Almighty. Meanwhile, the people waited at the foot of the mountain. However, as the days dragged on, the patience of the Israelites began to wear thin. Moses had been on the mountain for 40 days and nights, and to many it seemed as if he had disappeared, or perhaps even died. With no news and no idea what had happened to their leader, despair and fear began to fill the hearts of those who, just a short time before, had been celebrating their liberation. As impatience grew with each passing day, the people soon sought alternatives. They approached Aaron, Moses' brother, and demanded, "Get up and make gods for us who will lead us. As for this Moses, who brought us up from the land of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him." Exodus 32:1. Aaron, who should have resisted and reaffirmed trust in the God of Israel, gave in to the pressure. He asked them to bring their gold jewelry and earrings, the same ones received from the Egyptians during the Exodus, and melted the metal. Aaron then fashioned a golden calf, similar to the pagan idols they had known in Egypt. With the statue complete, Aaron declared, "These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up from the land of Egypt." Exodus 32:4. The people, consumed by idolatry, began celebrating and offering sacrifices to the calf in a festival that quickly turned into an event of excess. What began with doubt and impatience soon became open rebellion against God. The crowd danced, shouted, and rejoiced before the idol, absurdly attributing to that image the miraculous deliverance they had experienced. They had seen the sea part, walked on dry land, and witnessed Pharaoh's army be destroyed. Even so, their faith wavered in the face of waiting and God's apparent silence. High on Mount Sinai, where Moses was in direct communion with God, the Lord interrupted and revealed what was happening in the camp. He said to Moses, "Go down, because your people, whom you brought up from Egypt, have become corrupt." Exodus 32:7. God explained how the people had quickly strayed from the path they had been commanded, and how they had made a molten image, worshipping it and offering sacrifices to it. God's anger burned, and he told Moses that he was ready to destroy the people for their disobedience, promising to make a great nation out of Moses. God's indignation was understandable, as they were violating the first two commandments before they had even officially received them. "You shall have no other gods before me, and you shall not make for yourself a carved image. In one of the most remarkable moments of intercession, Moses pleaded with God on behalf of the people. He reminded the Lord of the promises made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, imploring for mercy. Moses asked, "Why, Lord, should your anger burn against your people, whom you brought out of Egypt with great power and a mighty hand?" Exodus 32:11. Moses argued that if God destroyed the people, their enemies, especially the Egyptians, would mock, saying that God had freed them only to kill them in the desert. Moses asked God to turn away from his wrath and spare the people. In response to Moses' intercession and in an act of compassion, the Lord relented from the disaster he said he would bring on his people. Exodus 32:14. Moses then descended the mountain, carrying the tablets of the law, written by the very finger of God. As he and Joshua approached the camp, they heard noise. Joshua thought it was the sound of war, but Moses realized it was singing from a celebration. Upon seeing the golden calf and the people reveling, Moses' anger flared. He threw the tablets to the ground, shattering them at the foot of the mountain, symbolizing the broken covenant between God and the people. Moses took the golden calf, burned it in the fire, ground it to powder, and scattered it in the water, forcing the people to drink it, as a way of showing just how futile and repulsive that idol was. He confronted Aaron, asking why he had allowed such a great sin. Aaron, trying to justify himself, said that the people were prone to evil, and that when he threw the gold into the fire, out came this calf. Exodus 32:24, minimizing his responsibility. However, the consequences of idolatry could not be avoided. Moses stood at the entrance to the camp and called for those who were on the Lord's side to come to him. The sons of Levi answered the call, and Moses ordered them to go from tent to tent, executing those who persisted in rebellion. About 3,000 men died that day, marking a severe judgment showing the gravity of idolatry and the need for radical purification. The next day, Moses went back up the mountain to intercede for the people. He confessed, "This people has committed a great sin by making gods of gold. Now please forgive their sin, but if not, then blot me out of the book you have written." Exodus 32:31-32. God replied that each person would be responsible for their own sin, but he reiterated his promise to bring the people to the promised land, despite the consequences of their disobedience. Moses stayed on the mountain for another 40 days and 40 nights, interceding for the people. When he came down, his face was radiant with the glory of God, so much so that he had to cover his face with a veil when speaking to the people. This story of the golden calf is not just an event that happened long ago. It reminds us of the fragility of our faith and our tendency to seek quick answers when God seems distant. The idolatry of the Israelites stemmed from impatience, fear, and a lack of trust. They had seen God's glory, yet they still fell into the temptation of creating something tangible to worship. Aaron, who was a leader, failed to guide the people down the right path, succumbing to pressure instead of standing firm in the truth. Moses, on the other hand, exemplified what it means to be a true intercessor and leader. He risked himself before God's anger to save the people and restore the covenant with the Lord. The episode of the golden calf teaches us the seriousness of the first commandment. "You shall have no other gods before me." God requires exclusivity and faithfulness. Anything that takes the place of God in our hearts, whether money, power, relationships, or anything else, can become an idol. This account challenges us to reflect on our lives and ensure that nothing is occupying the place that belongs only to the Lord. Moreover, we also learn about God's mercy. Even in the face of such grave rebellion, God chose not to completely destroy the people. He heard Moses' intercession and remained faithful to his promise. Like the Israelites, we are often quick to lose faith and seek alternatives when we feel that God is distant. The story of the golden calf reminds us of the importance of trusting God even when we don't understand His ways. It also warns us against idolatry and shows us the value of committed leadership and sincere intercession. Walking with God requires patience, faith, and a constant commitment to rejecting idols and keeping our hearts focused on the Lord. It is an invitation for each of us to build our lives not on material things or fleeting security, but on trust in the living God, who delivered us and continues to guide us on our journey. If this message touched your heart, I invite you to take action now. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel to keep following content that strengthens faith. Also, share this video with 3 people who came to your mind while watching. Together, let's spread the truth of God's word, warning about the dangers of idolatry and strengthening our walk with the Lord. Thank you for being here, and until the next video, may God's peace be with you.